Okay, so in the last session we just created accounting calendar, and just we gone through currencies related information, and we discussed no currency we have to enable. By default all currencies are enabled, and we created as a part of chart of accounts creation, we created value sets. Value this for these three segments, we just plan to create three segments as a part of chart of account structure. For those three segments, company, department, account, we created value sets, right? We created a value set. Now we'll go and create the chart of account structure. So in EBS, where we can create the chart of account structure within accounting flex field, or say accounting key flex field. So the same we'll be doing here. We'll just go to accounting key flex field and we'll create the chart of account structure. So our username is ERP3. So as of now, we are using the user as ERP3, and all the setups we are doing with the title called as, by using the company name called as Google. Going forward, we'll create user also as a Google. Okay. So go to implementation project. How to navigate to implementation project? Click on the username, or next to user we have a drop down. Click on that option. Click on setup and maintenance.
Yeah.
Any questions? So somebody joined. Okay. So click on task list. Click on manage implementation projects. Here you could see all the projects which are available within this instance. Now to find out our project, you can click on overview, so that system will display the projects which are associated with the current user. Click on overview. So this is the project which we created. From this project only we completed few setups. Open this project by clicking on the project title. Now what we want to do, we want to create chart of account structure. So search for the task called as chart of account structures. The actual name is manage chart of account structures. Every task starts with manage, but you don't need to search for the task including manage. Directly you can search with the task related terms. Say chart of accounts structures. Search for task called as manage chart of account structures. The same task is available from procurement and financials. You just prefer to select which is pointing to financials path. Click on manage chart of account structures. So before structures, we created value sets, right? All are in the sequence. We're done with the value set definition. Now we'll go and create the chart of account structure. So click on go to task icon. Just click on go to task icon. Okay, if you want to find out all existing chart of account structures within this instance, you can find it. Before that, just let's enter into the key flex field, accounting key flex field, so that we can verify that. First so we can create our chart of account structure within the accounting flex field. Okay, just find our accounting flex field. Already we discussed whatever the task you navigate, for most of the tasks you can see search. So if you want to search, you can search for existing definitions, or else you can create new, but here through search you have to find within that only you can create the chart of account structure. So search for key flex field called as accounting, or else you can write accounting flex field, but that would be enough to find out. Okay, write flex field name as accounting. So accounting key flex field, the display name you can have as a accounting flex field only. So system is fetching the record with this flex field name. Application is general ledger. With general ledger we have a key flex field called as accounting flex field, and application is GL, module is again general ledger. Okay, now within this accounting flex field we can create our chart of account structure. To create the chart of account structure, click on Manage Structures tab. To create the chart of account structure within the accounting flex field, click on Manage Structures tab. Okay, click on Manage Structures tab. So here we can create the new chart of account structure. If you want to find existing chart of account structures, just click on Search. You could see all those chart of account structures which are available within the key flex field, accounting key flex field. Okay, these are the key flex fields structures available within this instance as a part of accounting flex field. Okay, we'll see how to create our own chart of account structure. To create the new chart of account structure, here we have a create icon. Click on create. So provide structure code. So we are creating chart of account. We are creating the definitions with the by using the name called as Google. So you can give the name as Google Accounting Flex Field. Okay, Google Accounting Flex Field, or you can write the name as Google Chart of Account Structure. And the same structure code we can take as a structure name. And optionally, you can use the same name for description also if you want to write. And in EBS, at the structure level, we could see the one option called as segment separator, right? Segment separator. Within the structure, what are the segments you are going to create? So when you select those segment related values, system has to separate those values as a code combination. So for that, we can specify the any symbol or any specification by using the segment separator. The same segment separator here we have as a delimiter. They given the field name as a delimiter. In EBS, you could see the name as segment separator. All these all terminology they taken from the different products like JD Edwards, PeopleSoft, and other products. They taken that some sort of naming conventions. So that is the reason you could see the change. So delimiter
Lakshman.
to separate with a dot. Yeah, please.
Yeah, yesterday we saw during the value set creation we saw a field called separator. What was that? I understand this is between the port combinations, but just now I was reminded of that separator. What was that in value set creation yesterday?
So we will go and see that. Even just a separator we have. I'm not sure. Just we'll verify. Okay.
Okay.
So just after completing the structure, we'll go to that form and we'll see what you are trying to refer. Okay. Fine. So just provide the delimiter. Okay. So which will separate the segment related codes as a code combination. So we given the structure related information, and by default the structure is enabled. Here you can create the segments. Below you can create the segments, but if you notice the segment creation function is not enabled. So after giving this information, you have to save this structure definition so that the segment system will allow you to create the segments by enabling create segment function. Just click on save. Okay, just save this structure related information. Now system is enabling create segment function. You can click on create. So as we planned, we'll go and create three segments. The first segment is company. Okay, first segment is company. Just tab out. So once you tab out, system is copying the segment name as API name. We know API means we have interfaces APIs, right? So API means application programming interface, right? So here what is the meaning of API which refers this field? So when you do some third-party integrations, integrations that can be inbound interface or outbound interface, what we do is to move the data from application to our Oracle application to third-party applications, or to bring the data from third-party application to Oracle application, we have to do the field mapping. So you want to send this accounting information to other system. In that case, we have to map our accounting the segment called as company with any other field which would be in the third party application. We have to do the field mapping. So if you want to do the such kind of mapping, third-party integrations, instead of using this column name, we'll be using this column name for any integrations. Not only for that, for any report generations also we will be using this field only for mapping purpose. Just you place a cursor in this field, it will give pop-up also. So it says specifies a name that identifies a segment in web services. Web service is the concept which we use in Fusion applications for integrations. Okay, through web services you can do the integrations. Apart from that, you can use in the reporting, the other point they given as the integration points. Just it's very simple. When we are doing any integrations, or if you are going to prepare the reports, instead of using this column name, we'll be using API name. Okay, for that reason they given. So just the preference Oracle is giving to map the segment name with any other attributes with this field. That's all. Okay, there's no other point here. Just for those cases, integration point of view, we'll be using this field for mapping for this segment. That's all. You can provide the segment name, company, and description, company, same, and sequence. It's going to be first segment. And what should be the prompt when you create the transaction for this segment? Prompt also should be same. If you want to have a short prompt, you can provide the short prompt. It's a just simple name, you don't need to make it again short. And display width. Okay, the display width here, that means, so at the time of value set creation we given maximum length as a 4. Yes, with the 4 characters you can create, with 4 digits you can create the company code, but you have to write the company description. You have to write the company description. Company code you may enter as 1,000 in the 4 digits, but you may want to write the company name as, okay, so some Google search engine services, that may be the company name. In that case, to write that name, so how many characters you want to give as a maximum width, display width, that you can specify. Say here we'll give 30 characters. Okay, so when you write the company name, any company name, that can be written and displayed within 30 characters. And you can select the column name, same as EBS, we can create 30 segments. Okay, you can click on search, you can find 30. Just select segment 1, and here, so you could notice default value set code, that is a mandatory. You can see the star mark. Star marks always indicates the field is mandatory, right? So without giving the value set, you cannot create the segment. So we are creating the segment, so without giving this, we cannot save this record, right? So it's mandatory, you have to provide the value set at the time of segment creation. So value set code is, we given the name as Google company. Search and select and say okay. So done. Okay, we created segment and we assign value set to segment. Now in EBS, what we do, we assign flex field qualifiers to segment. Okay, which segment we are creating, based on that we assign. We know for company generally we assign balancing segment flex field qualifier, which will make sure that transactions, each and every transaction is getting balanced with the same company, and the same you could use for reporting purpose also. And again, it will look at just the balancing rule, like it will make sure that debit will be equal to credit all the time for respective value, which will be classifying as a balancing segment. And within that, what are the values we have, with those values that every transaction should be balanced. Now in Fusion, the same flex field qualifiers. In EBS, whatever we have as a flex field qualifiers, okay, the flex field qualifiers are equal to segment labels. Here you could see segment labels. EBS flex field qualifiers in Fusion we are calling as segment labels. Notice this point. And in EBS, when you look at the flex field qualifiers, how many balancing segments you can have? Only one. Reason, we have only one flex field qualifier called as balancing segment flex field qualifier, right? Balancing segment, say flex field qualifier. I'm writing in short, flex field qualifier. Okay, so in EBS, when I talk about flex field qualifiers, we have only one balancing segment flex field qualifier. But in the Fusion, when I talk about segment labels, so we have three balancing segment labels. Three we have. Okay, what are those? You can see here. So segment labels. Okay, let me just talk about this. Definitely, we will discuss if here. Please.
Not clear.
Sorry.
Your voice is not clear. Your voice is not clear. I'm not sure if I'm the only one having this issue.
Okay, let me check one second. Okay, fine. So in case of EBS, we have a flex field qualifiers. The same flex field qualifiers we are calling as segment labels in Fusion applications. And when I talk about flex field qualifiers, in EBS we have 6 flex field qualifiers, right? So those are balancing, cost center, intercompany, secondary tracking, management segment flex field qualifier. Okay, these are the different flex field qualifiers. We have natural account segment flex field qualifier. These are the 6 we have. But out of 6, we have only one balancing segment flex field qualifier in EBS. But in Fusion, we have 3 balancing segment flex field qualifiers. But instead of calling as flex field qualifiers, we are calling as segment labels. Now simply you can say we have 3 balancing segment labels in Fusion applications. What are those? So those are, you can see here, as a primary balancing segment label, secondary balancing segment label, and third balancing segment label. So in EBS, only you can balance the transactions only one segment level by using the balancing segment flex field qualifier. Okay, but in the Fusion, we got a flexibility to balance the transactions 3 levels. Okay, 3 levels you can just balance. For 3 segment levels, you can balance the transaction. That's how you can make use of these balancing segment labels if you have such kind of requirement. Okay, that is a point we have to notice. Now we are creating the segment called as company. So for company, just assign the segment label called as primary balancing segment. We'll talk about other segment labels also. Now we are creating company. Let's assign company primary balancing segment label to company segment. So select and click on select label here. Select. So that got selected here. That means we assigned primary balancing segment label to company. What happens if you assign primary balancing segment label to company? Within this company segment, okay, we'll have a company values. When you record the transactions with those values, this balancing segment, this primary balancing segment label will have a functionality of verifying in each and every transaction whether the user is using the same balancing segment debit and credit side or not. If intercompany is enabled, okay, then that system will exclude that scenario. But normally for each and every transaction, this balancing segment label will make sure the debits and credits are getting balanced with the same company code. So for that reason, we have to assign the balancing segment, primary balancing segment label to company. Just assign, then say save and close. We'll see other labels also. So we will be just creating other segments. We'll discuss. Okay, done. We created a company segment and we assigned a required label to that segment. Okay, done. We'll create one more segment. Click on create. Now we'll create department segment. The same process. Say segment name is department. Just tab out. System will copy as a API name. That is for any integrations or reporting purpose. System will use this field only instead of this field. And description same, and it's going to be sequence number as 2. So don't use the sequence as a 10, 20, 30. You could see in the most of the instances there is some bug. So if you just take sequence as a 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, you will be able to complete the setup. when you create the journals, you'll come across some issues where system won't allow you to create the journal. So that it is, just go with this sequence only, 1 2 3. So just use the short prompt also same, and department name display width you can give 20 or you can go with 30. Column name, it's going to be segment 2, and assign value set which we created for department segment. Okay, search for this value set, select and say okay. It's not selecting, we'll try again. Select, click on OK. So selected. Now for a department segment, we have to assign the label called as cost center, right? So this basically this cost center segment label we required to just to track the depreciation expense in fixed assets, as well as if you are going to just perform this approvals and all cost center base, if you are implementing the, or what we could say like this fusion expense in case of EBS I expense. So here if you are going to implement a fusion expense application which is equal to I expense in EBS, so in that case also cost center need to be identified. For these reasons, just you can assign cost center segment label to department. Okay, here you can see that some labels okay, we'll see in the next step. Fine, just assign cost center segment label to department segment and say save and close, so that it will identify the cost center department names to track the expenses and other purposes. And now we'll go and create one more segment called as account segment. Account. Okay, so sequence is going to be 3, and prompt same, account only, short prompt also same, and display width, so account say 30. So basically in EBS case, if you are creating the segment, this display width and all system will take by default. Okay, when you are creating the segment, so okay, in the same window you can have a segment properties window. If you click on that, you will be able to see the display width and all system takes as a default size. So but here we have to provide as a mandatory. Okay, that's how they made it. So it's a third segment. Okay, for account we created one segment, one value set called as Google account. Search for the value set, select, say okay. Now for account segment, we have to assign the label called as natural account, so that it will allow the users, it will allow us to specify the nature of account and other information also, right? Anyway, allow budgeting, allow posting, those are the default segment qualifiers in EBS. Same here. Along with that, we have additional segment qualifiers also. Here the same segment qualifiers we are calling as value attributes. We'll see at the time of values creation. So for account, to address the nature of account, we have to assign the natural account segment label. Assign it. Okay. Here whatever you could see as the labels which starts with the GSE, those Oracle added in this kind of test environment demo instance. So the otherwise the actual labels are cost center, which already we assigned, And intercompany, same as EBS. We'll be working on intercompany concept also. At that time, we'll use it. Local use segment for some specific countries for localization purpose that can be used. And the management segment flex field qualifier we have in EBS, same primary, secondary, third, all remain same as EBS. Here the point is you have to understand flex field qualifiers we are calling as segment labels, and in EBS we have only one balancing, but here you can go up to 3 balancing segments. Okay, and these are the points just we have to notice, and this is a way how we can assign specific label to particular segment. Yeah, please.
So here, like you're saying, we have secondary and third also
Correct.
balancing segment. So in which case companies would use that like commonly? How does it logically make sense to have 3 instead of 1, what we had in EPS?
Why we are using primary balancing segment label? What is the reason we are using?
To balance the credits and debits.
For specific segment, right? Specific segment level.
Right. Yeah.
Same way, if you want to balance the transaction at other segment level also, we can use this. What is the use if you balance? You will be able to prepare the reports. You can get to know the returned earnings. Okay, that segment level. If you just balance company level, the company level you can get to know the returned earnings, and you can prepare the reports in that company level. In the same way, any other level also, if you want to find out, you can just use this secondary balancing segment label and third balancing segment label. Okay.
But we can only assign one flex field qualifier to one segment, same as EBS, right? Here also.
No, one qualifier here label we are calling. 1 second.
Right.
I'm getting voice from you. I'm just keeping on mute. When you have a question, you can unmute and you can ask me. See, when you talk about EBS, for one segment, you can assign n number of segment qualifiers. Sorry, flex field qualifiers. For one segment, you can assign multiple flex field qualifiers. In the same way, here also, you can assign all also. You can do that. That totally depends on requirement. Okay, say for department we assign cost center segment label, and again department level you want to balance each and every transaction. In that case, you can assign secondary balancing segment to department segment. In that case, those will become 2, right? One is cost center segment label, second one is secondary balancing segment label. The point is we can assign more than one segment label to one segment, or in case of EBS, more than one flex field qualifier to one segment. Okay, that is possible. So that's how the segment will start behaving in the respective process. Fine. That we can do.
Got it.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, thanks. Fine. Then say save and close. So when we work on the intercompany concept, AGAS, Advanced Global Intercompany, at that time we'll be using that relevant label, intercompany. Okay, we'll see those. So just we created structure. Within the structure, we created 3 segments. For 3 segments, the relevant segment labels we assigned. Now you can click on save and close. We created chart of account structure. Now you can click on done. So we created chart of account structure through this manage structures tab. Now we have to create chart of account structure instance. Okay, so chart of account structure we created. Within the structure we created segments and we assigned value sets to segments. Along with that we assign segment labels, nothing but flex field qualifiers. So these are the tasks we just now completed. Now in EBS, when you create the primary ledger, we select accounting calendar and we select currency, we select chart of accounts, and we'll select accounting method into primary ledger definition. But in the Fusion, you cannot select chart of account structure directly into primary ledger definition. When you create the primary ledger, whatever the chart of account structure we created just now, that you cannot use as a part of primary ledger. If you want to use our chart of account structure into primary ledger, what we have to do, our chart of account structure you have to make as a copy. You have to copy our chart of account structure. The copied structure only you can use in our primary ledger. Okay, the copy, how you can make the copy? With the concept called as chart of account structure instance. Here instance is nothing but the meaning is copy. Okay, here instance meaning is copy. So what are the chart of account structure we have that you have to make a copy? So once you copy that, that can be used. So one chart of account structure can be copied into multiple, you can, against one chart of account structure you can make multiple copies. What is the advantage? That we'll see when we just create the chart of account structure instance itself. Okay, we'll see over there. So it will allow us to overwrite the value sets, and there are some other points to understand. We'll see how to create the chart of account structure instance against the chart of account structure. We'll be creating the instance, chart of account structure instance against chart of account structure. We'll see the process and we'll discuss there itself. Okay, so that we can see and we can understand few points. Then if you start with the discussions, any relevant discussion, easily we can understand. Fine, let's see how to create the chart of account structure instance. Okay, after creating we'll discuss why it is required, how it is different from the chart of account structure, and what controls we have at instance level, what controls we don't have at structure level. We can get to know all the information. Okay, so we just completed up to the segment label assignment to segments. Now chart of account structure is ready with all these setups. Now we have to create the chart of account structure instance. The simple point is why we have to create. We cannot use the structure in the primary ledger, only we can use the instance. Instance is nothing but copy. Now we are going to copy chart of account structure as an instance. We'll see the process and we'll discuss. So to create the chart of account structure instance, here we have a tab. Click on manage structure instances. Just click on manage structure instances. If you click on search, you can find the instances, how many are available within this instance. Okay, so anyway, we don't want those which are already created. We want to create our own instance against our chart of account structure. So to create the new chart of account structure instance, click on create. Here you can provide the name, say Google accounting flex field instance. It's not taking more than those characters, no issues. So name and description. Here you can notice dynamic combination creation allowed. In EBS you see as allow dynamic inserts. So in EBS you can see allow dynamic inserts at chart of account structure level. But here the same we have at instance creation level. That means we are going to use the instance only in transaction creation process. That means instance only you can take as a part of ledger. Whatever we have in the ledger, that will use to create the accounting code combinations as a debit and credit. So even if you want to create the shorthand aliases, that also you can enable at instance level only. So not at chart of account structure level. Now we want to create this chart of account structure instance against which chart of account structure. Okay, we created already chart of account structure that you can select here. We want to create this chart of account structure instance against Google accounting flex field chart of account structure. Within that, how many segments we have? 3. The same system will display here. So out of these 3, how many segments we want to use as a mandatory in this instance, that you have to select as required. Okay, say company. So select company segment. So company segment we want to take as a mandatory segment into our instance. Reality we require these 3 segments. That is the reason we created our chart of account structure. Now whatever the segments are available within our chart of account structure, those segments we are selecting into this instance. So instance is the one which will be using as a part of primary ledger, and the same we will be using for transactions. So select company. We'll complete this task and we'll discuss. So select company and click on edit, and you can say required. Okay, you can say required and say okay. There are a few points to discuss here. We'll do that. First, let's select this as required for these three segments are required in this instance. So select department and make it as required. Say okay. See here, system is just marking as a required is selected for these segments for this instance purpose. Select account, click on edit, just click on required and say okay. Done. So this is how we have to select. Now you can click on save. We created one chart of account structure instance against the chart of account structure. Now we'll talk about what is the difference between the instance and the structure. So chart of account structure, here in the Fusion it will act as a template only. Okay, chart of account structure, it acts as a template. From one chart of account structure you can create multiple instances. Say you are going to do the implementation for two countries, say India and US. So you are going to have same chart of account structure. Okay, segments you are going to have same. Take simple example. You are going to use only these three segments, or you may have some other segments like LOB or project, etc. Whatever. Let it be just for our simple understanding. Say these three segments we want to use. Okay, in India as well as US operations. But for India, you need different value sets, and for US, you require different value sets. So in that case, what we can do is we can create one chart of account structure. Within that, we can create these three segments, and but against that structure, you can create the two instances. One instance will use in India primary ledger, other instance will use in US primary ledger. What is the difference between these two chart of accounts instances which we are going to use for India and US? Segments are same, but value sets are going to be different. So here what we do is when we create the chart of account structure instance, so system, when you select the structure name here, system will default the segments here. When you click on edit, whatever the value set is available within the chart of account structure, that would get default. If you are creating this instance for US, you can select the different value set, you can override. So that's how you can create two instances, two or multiple instances against one chart of account structure. Okay, that is a one point you have to understand. The other one here you could see tree name. Tree name is nothing but hierarchy. You can create the parent and child relationship between the segment values. Those you can associate only at instance level for specific segment, not possible at chart of account structure level to associate any hierarchies for specific segments. So primarily what we can do, at the time of instance creation we can override the value sets, and if you want to have a parent and child relationship, those you can assign at segment level within the instance only. Apart from that, here you can see BA enabled. That means by default system will take these values, it will enable. That means for this company, what are the transactions you create, that information will be available for BA reporting purpose. And if you want to set some segment value as a default, you can go with these options, that we'll see later. Okay, now not required. So these are the few points you have to understand. Okay, as per the implementation which you do, which you involve, so that implementation, the requirement may not demand for chart of account structure instance, but Oracle made this process as a mandatory. Basically this concept they taken from PeopleSoft application. The PeopleSoft we create the instances, so the same
I
logic,
have a
same concept they taken here. One second.
hello.
We'll talk about any if you have any questions, we'll talk on that. Just let me go through a few points. Okay. So they taken, even it may be you may not require the chart of account structure instance, but it is a mandatory you have to create the chart of account structure instance. Otherwise, you cannot create your primary ledger. So you have a three segments. You want to have a chart of account structure with the four segments. you don't see any requirement to create the chart of account structure instance, but still you want to create. If you have a scenario which will help you to use the chart of account structure instance, yes, you can use it. Even there is no use of chart of account structure instance as per your business requirement, still you have to create, since this is a mandatory. So this is the point we have to understand here. Any questions from anyone to understand about this, please? Before that, instance chart of account structure will act as a template. From one chart of account structure you can create multiple instances. When we are creating the chart of account structure instances, you can overwrite the value sets, okay, which will be defaulting from chart of account structure. And we can set other specification, like you can assign parent child relationships. Here we call as tree structures. Those you can associate for specific segment only at instance level. What are the changes we do at instance level, those won't reflect to chart of account structure. And what are the changes you do at chart of account structure level, those won't reflect to chart of account structure instance once you create the instance. So these are the points we have to notice. Finally, we can use the chart of account structure instance only at the time of primary ledger creation. We don't select chart of account structure, only instance will select at the time of primary ledger creation. So these are the few points we have to understand. So any questions here from anyone, please?
I have a question.
Please.
Yeah. So let's say I have two companies, Google company A and Google company B. So both the companies have the same department. Let's say infrastructure department. So if I want to account, I mean, these are the sharing departments. Let's say there might be different departments, but both the companies shared one of the departments. How do we handle that? I mean, you're saying that in the instances we have the separate instances per the different chart of accounts. So in this scenario, uh, how would be using the shared
Very simple.
department?
It's very simple. So don't create two value sets for department, create one value set for two companies related departments you maintain in one value set. Use the same value set in two instances, because your requirement is you want to share, okay, the same. So that's how you can achieve. Otherwise you don't want, even you can keep everything in one, you can restrict the access through security rules, right? You can create security rule to restrict, but directly by default, if you want to restrict, you can maintain in the different value sets. Since entities and primary ledgers are going to be totally different, you want to maintain separately. In that case, you can go with a separate value set, or else one value set you can have all those things, and you, with SR you can restrict, or else you may allow. That's totally depends how you are going to design the solution, how the client is expecting to have. Okay.
Uh,
Any question?
Lakshman, when we go to update the segment, so if there was an option of query only, if you click on the update pencil,
I'll take you through all those, because so one in this stage, all just if you touch it will become kind of more information in this stage only. We'll come across these points multiple times. So when we are just going through that, we'll talk about it. Okay. So
okay,
next time we'll come back to this to set the default values.
and the query required optional.
See, when you have a question, you can unmute and you can ask your question. Then my request is immediately you can keep on mute, so that when I start talking about that relevant information, there won't be any noise. Okay, please. Fine.
And
We'll
regarding
go through all
query
this.
required optional, we're gonna cover it later, right?
Yeah,
So
we will
query
go
required.
to default type. That's what I'm saying. Please keep on mute after your question immediately. Please. Fine. We will go through this information. Okay, default type, default type and the query required, I'll take you through that. So when we will come back to this screen to set up default values for company, department and account, at the time just we'll go through that information. Okay, fine. So later we'll see the tree structures also when we are working on GL side.
Yeah,
are
Lakshman.
we also going to create the structured tree, the tree structure?
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about it. These are nothing but hierarchies, account hierarchies. You can create parent and child relationships. Okay, those you can associate here for this value set. So like EBS, so in EBS what we do, we'll go to the specific value set. Within that we'll have values. Specific value will make as a parent. Under that you will be associating few values as a child values. That's how we create a parent and child relation. But here it's slightly different. You have to create that account parent and child relation separately. Those you have to assign to value sets. I'll take you through that because it's when we are going through something, everything we cannot touch at the same time. Now, just we are trying to understand the structures. We'll be working on the relevant concepts. When you are working on GL, I'll be covering this topic. So once we start entering the transaction, I'll take you through how to set the defaults, what is the query required. Okay. So we'll be covering. Finally, we'll just make sure that we'll be just covering whatever definitely we should understand. Okay. Fine.
Lakshman,
Yeah, please.
so so we create a structure, and later on, after that, we create a structure instance. So after the first instance is created, will the system allow changes to that structure if we want to reuse it?
See, structure, that's what, like if you do some changes to the structure, those won't reflect to the instance once instance is created. And if you, after
Oh,
creating instance, no,
but
what,
the question is whether it allows or not.
sorry?
It allows in the structure change. The question is whether it allows or not. At the structure, the changes are allowed.
What changes you want to do?
Just in case I want to change the width or something, right? After
No,
after I create an instance,
we created chart of account structure. What you want to change? Based on that, we can discuss. What changes you want to do?
any type of change. I was just generally thinking, if there could be,
See,
any change. I do not have anything specific in the mind.
yeah, reality, we should not do any changes to chart of account structure. That's a very important point. Okay. So Oracle strongly recommends not to do the changes. There will be some inconsistency issues will come with that structure changes. So that is the reason normally we plan and we'll have a buffer segments also in the chart of account design itself. Generally we should not change, but if you want to change, system will allow you. Those won't impact on the chart of account structure instance. By copying you are creating, those won't impact. Okay, what are the changes
Okay, yeah.
at instance level? Those again, it won't impact the chart of account structure which you have, against which chart of account structure you created this instance.
Yeah, just wanted to know if it allows or not. Thanks. And the next question is, I'm not sure I completely understand API name. Plus, I don't understand the discrimination between. I understand what a prompt is, but and
Prompt
I
is
understand
nothing
what a
but
code could
display.
be.
One second. Prompt is
Correct.
nothing but display name.
Yeah, and API name.
Application programming interface. You know EBS, right?
Yes, in EBS we have APIs as database packages.
Yeah, exactly.
How does it?
The same as a part of like when you are going to do the integrations with other application in the database package process. So instead of using this instance structure code, they'll be using this name. So in the API, to build the API process, they'll be using this name. That is the reason the field name they are referring as API name. See, simple. You want to map this chart of account structure instance with some integration process. So instead of taking this name, our instance name or instance code, this is the name Oracle is recommending. Why Oracle is recommending this name? Whenever you give this name, system is creating the API name as API name without any spaces. See here. Okay. So this will resolve some sort of issues. If you give some space, so there can be some invalid objects will come into that, or else okay, by mistake you may give some space. And so here this API name will you can see without any space, which will be auto generated based on the code. Oracle is recommending to use this kind of naming convention for mapping purpose, so that Oracle only creating wherever that is required for an integration point of view. So that name they are just mentioning as API name.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, that's it. So in integration point of view, that name Oracle is recommending. So for that they opened a separate field called as API name. That's all. Done. So any other questions here, please?
One question.
Yeah, please.
Do we have kind of combo edits, like interdependencies between the segments?
Yes, you can do that. Like, see, when you are creating the value set, you can select validation type. The three segments we created, the three segments we selected as independent. If you want to make some dependency, like you may say you may create one segment called as country, and if you are going to have one more segment called as state segment, you can select as dependent segment. On which segment? Country state segment. You can create it. Same as EBS, we have all those validation types. Okay, value set creation time, we have validation types. There you can select it. I'll just take you through that.
Okay.
Okay.
I should have. My question. I need to make it clear. So when we enter a journal,
Okay.
so let's say there is a set of segments.
Yeah.
We call it a start field. Actually, I'm from PeopleSoft, so that's the reason I'm asking.
Yeah, please.
So in the so there are let's say three segments you gave, right? So
Yes.
there is a setup in PeopleSoft like a combo edits, like so there if let's say company let's say ABC company. So for ABC company there are these departments. ABC company has 1, ABC company has 2, 3, 4, 10.
Hmm.
Those it can accept only those 10 departments. So you're saying the value segments we can
Yeah, you can
add, but
define like that. That's what I
we
said.
can add a
I got it.
dependencies.
I got it. Your requirement is
Okay.
if I enter company called as one, for company one only we have a two departments, A and B. System has to display A and B only, right? When you select company as one, A and B. When you select company two, it should display maybe C and D, right?
Yes.
Yes, this you can do. When you are creating the value set, select validation type as dependent. Okay, it will allow you so to enter the values. When you are creating the department, so when you are creating the department, the system will ask you first for which company you are entering the departments. You select company one and enter department A and B, and we'll select when you are creating when you want to create C and D department, select company as a 2 and enter these values. So reality, the similar same departments will be having across all the companies. If you take finance department, most of the companies will have HR department, marketing, right? So purchasing department, these are the common departments. That is the reason instead of going with independent, okay, dependent will normally create, if any company should not have access to specific department, for that we'll define the rules called as cross validation rules in GL. Okay, as a part of GL we'll be working on that cross validation rules and all. Okay, yes, that is a possible. Value set creation time, you have to select value set type as dependent value set. So that will allow you to create this kind of relation. Okay, fine. The term may be different in your PeopleSoft. The term what you are referring some combo. Here we just call it as validation type. Based on validation type, you can decide it that we call as dependent value set. You have to create dependent value set that will allow this kind of relation. Fine. Done. Okay, since there is some other questions related to value set, we'll go through the value set point. Okay, after completing the structure definition. Yeah, please. Any question?
Yeah, Lakshman here. Whatever we are implementing here, I mean, in real time, will it gonna implement in a test instance or on a real time instance?
See, we'll have a real-time instances only, but we'll have a real-time instances for different purposes. So we'll have a test instance. In the test instance, we'll do everything and we'll be testing if everything is working fine. We'll present to the client and we'll take their approvals. Okay. So then we will do the same in the production instance, which we call as real-time instance, which will be used by client. First, we'll do in the test only. We'll do everything in the test instance. We'll be testing and we'll be showing to the client. If clients are okay with that, again they'll come back to us saying that we need this in this way and some changes, etc. Finally, we have to take the sign off from the client for the acceptance of the system process based on their business process. Then we'll be doing the same in the production instance. Then client will start using that. Okay, the complete cycle of the process we are going to do in our classes also. So we'll do that and we'll see how to load the data conversions, how to load the master data, transactional data, which normally client will provide from their previous system. So we'll see that. Just to answer your question, first we'll do in the test instance, then production.
Okay. Once we get
What?
the sign off test instance, if everything is
Oh,
good.
one second, please don't mind. So these points we'll discuss maybe in the end of the session because it's a kind of some different specific questions, right? So
One more question. How many, there is a limit for segment, segment codes?
30 segments. Okay, you can have max 30 segments, but we never use 30 segments. Very general practice, we use 6 or 7 or max 8. You may see 9, 10 also, but those includes some future segments, buffer segments also 2 or 3. So the recommendation is we should not use many segments which will cause system performance. And other point is everything you should not take as a part of chart of account structure. Depending on which module you are using, the relevant objects data tracking is possible within those applications with the standard functionalities. That is the reason the which data is very much common, which will be using for reporting purpose and controlling purpose. Okay, that could be internal and external reporting. Okay, that information related objects only will be taking as segments into our chart of accounts, right? So these points are known.
And
Talk about
yeah,
yeah.
sorry, one more question. So these segments would be shared, this chart of accounts would be shared with the other modules too, right?
Yeah, all the applications will be shared. Okay.
I'm saying like this, if you want to account under the segments, these will be displayed over there, right?
Yeah, yes. So what account will become one segment. So wherever you record the transaction in any application, these 3 segments will get displayed. Okay.
When you say application, I'm not following. Is it when you say application, it's GL is a application,
One application,
expense is
A is
application.
on application, AR is on application, or I call it as
Okay,
okay.
got it. Thank you.
Fine. Okay, done. So we just created chart of account structure instance, then click on save and close. So click on done. Now we created chart of account structure and chart of account structure instance. And if you could see accounting flex field status, you can find the status as edited. Okay, yes, edited. Why system is showing as edited? Because we created new chart of account structure and instance. That is the reason it's showing as edited. So always we have to make sure that the status is confirmed or say completed. Okay, deployed or confirmed or completed. So that is the status we have to see. Now in case of EBS, what we do is we select specific chart of account structure, we freeze and we compile. Here there is no concept of freezing. Okay, here we have a field called as freeze. It's applicable everywhere where you can freeze this screen and you can detach. It will open one more window. For that purpose you can use. Same as EBS, we don't have any concept of freezing the chart of account structure. Here equal to compile in EBS. In Fusion we have a deployment, but deployment you can do at flex field level, not at chart of account structure or instance level. Now we have to deploy entire this accounting flex field. So when you submit this accounting flex field for deployment, what system will do is within this accounting flex field, how many chart of account structures and instances we have, all will be submitted for validation purpose. If everything goes fine, then the deployment status will become as deployed, otherwise it shows the error message. In the submission process also it will give the message in which chart of account structure you have some issues. So those you have to resolve, then only the deployment would be completed. When you create the new structure, you have to make sure that deployment status will become deployed, then only you can make use of that chart of account structure or instance. Okay, now we have to deploy the entire accounting flex field, not specific chart of account structure. Say you created your own chart of account structure and instance, somebody created another chart of account structure and instance as an incomplete definition. We know when you create the chart of account structure, one rule, minimum 2 segments are mandatory. Which segments those are? Balancing and natural account, very generally company and account. Say somebody created one chart of account structure and instance with only one segment. Then when you submit for a deployment, system will identify there is some invalid chart of account structure and instance, and it will end with error. In that case, even that is not created by you, since you created in the same accounting flex field, you have to go and correct, otherwise your chart of account structure and instance also cannot be deployed. Okay, so when we are working on this kind of user instance, this kind of cases will come across. When we are working on the instance, fresh instance for our client, think these are the not scenarios which we come across. We may not create multiple chart of account structures very often, how we create here in the test environment for practice. If you are implementing for one country for one client, you may create only one chart of accounts, or else chart of account you may create one as a global chart of account, even if you are going to do the implementation for multiple countries. So whatever it may be the case, when you create the chart of account structure and instance, you have to submit it for deployment. So I have to make sure that the status will be deployed. Now status is edited. Now just click on deploy flex field so that system will start validating all the chart of account structures and instances which are available within this accounting flex field. Okay, just click on deploy flex field. Ideally it will take minute time. So if you see the scenario where it is taking more than minute time, so you have to understand there are many chart of account structures and instances within the accounting flex field. That is the reason system is taking that much time. So ideally it should take less than minute time to do the complete validation. If you have a less chart of account structures, if you have many, it may take couple of minutes or else 5 minutes, 6 minutes, sometimes 10 minutes time also. When you may have this kind of experience when you work on this kind of vision instances. The real-time instance will be hardly having a very less chart of account structures. Once you click on deploy, it will be deployed as soon as possible. Just click on deploy flex field. Yeah, please go ahead.
Yeah, actually, if someone has created an invalid chart account structure, which is invalid, and when I'm running this deploy, if that goes into error, what will be the status of my structure?
See, the point here is we are not we are not deploying a specific structure. Even system won't update the status for structure. It will update the status for entire flex field. Somebody created chart of accounts with the wrong information, invalid definition. They created with only one segment, or else they created 2 segments, company and account, but they didn't assign segment labels which are mandatory for those 2 segments. So in that case, when you submit this deployment, the deployment status will become error. It will end with error. The reason, the chart of accounts which is created by others, they come created as a wrong definition. Even your chart of account structure definition is correct, but the final status for this accounting flex field would be error only. It should be deployed. So for that reason, you have to go and correct it. Otherwise, if you know who created, you may inform in the project environment. Ultimately, all the structures which we
where could we see this
need to be validated properly. Yeah, please.
Where we come to know that particular structure is invalid.
The message when you submit this deployment, so it is running the deployment right here. You can click on this. Here it will show errors and warnings. If you get warnings, no issues, you can go ahead. But if something wrong with some other structure, it shows as error message that you can see by expanding. Click on expand. Here it shows that structure name also, structure name, and with which segment,
Okay.
what issue we have. Some invalid,
Okay.
some special character is entered in the structure, or else it shows the message some label is missing. Minimum 2 labels should be there for chart of accounts, but no label is there, or one label is missing, or else for so and so segment label is not assigned. Those messages system will display here. Okay, you can expand it. If you see errors here, expand it. Those errors it will display. Sometimes it may not display. In that case, we have to
So
open
after
and
correct,
by the structures.
so only in case of correcting this and deploying again, well, only if the status is deployed, then only we can
Yes.
our structures will also be
Yeah.
working.
Yeah,
Is
yeah.
that?
Then only you have to treat the structure is ready to use. Okay, fine. Just say okay. Now you can see the deployment status as deployed. This is required for us. Okay, so this is required. Once you see the deployment for this accounting flex field, that means all chart of account structures and instances are fine within this accounting flex field. Just click on that. We are ready with the chart of account structure and instance. So we just completed this definition and we submitted for deployment. Now you can go and create the segment values. Now you can go and create the segment values. We'll create the few segment values for our understanding for company, department, and account segments. So the same here, you have a task in the sequence only. First we created, let me scroll up. First we created value sets. After value set, we created chart of account structures. Within the structure only, we created segments. We assigned the value sets. We assigned segment labels, right? After that, we created chart of account structure instance. After instance, we created instance and we submitted for a deployment. After deployment only, you have to create the value sets so that you can create value sets properly. What is the meaning of proper values definition within the value set? We'll see now. Okay, so after this task we have to create the values into value sets. So click on, go to task icon to create the values into value sets. In EBS you can select the segment and you can create the values into that, or else you can select the value set and you can enter the values into value set, but here option is only value set. Here you cannot create the values for any segment by selecting the segment name. No option. Only you can enter the values into value set. In EBS, when you select the segment, you can enter the values to that segment which value set is associated. The values will get stored in that value set. But here we don't have that option where you can select segment to enter the values. Only the option is directly value set you can select. You can enter the values into value set only. Fine. Now we'll select our value set called as Google company. Just segment is Google company. Search for this value set. Okay, so this is our value set. To create the values into this value set, click on manage values. Do we have any values into this value set? No. If you click on search, it will display. We didn't create any values into this value set, right? Now we'll see how to create the values into this value set. Okay, first what we have to do, we have to search for our value set and find value set, select value set and click on manage values, and to create the new values click on create. So in EBS, when you create the values in company or department other than natural account segment related values, you'll find two segment label. I mean, you will be finding two segment qualifiers. allow budgeting, allow posting. By default, for every segment value, you can find allow budgeting, allow posting segment qualifiers, but only for natural account segment values. Whenever you assign the natural account segment flexfill qualifier to account segment, system will add additional 3 segment qualifiers. The same logic is applicable here. We'll go and see. Fine. Here you can create the value. For company, what is the maximum length we given? 4. Okay, let's go and give the company code as a 1000. And description can be displayed up to 30 characters. That's what we given at the time of company segment creation. So here you can write the description: Google search engine services. Okay, so Google search engine services I'm taking as a company name, and by default the value is enabled. And here these 3 we call as value attributes. These 3 we call as value attributes. So in case of EBS, only 2 segment qualifiers. Segment qualifiers only we are calling as value attributes. Let me write it. In EBS, whatever we have as a segment qualifiers, in that we are calling in Fusion as a value attributes. Okay, value attributes. So by default in EBS, for any segment related values, you can have a 2 segment qualifiers. But in Fusion by default, you can have 3 value attributes by default. For natural account segment, you can have additional in EBS or Fusion, that we'll discuss later. So now it's a company segment value we are creating. So we have allow posting, allow budgeting as yes. That means we want to post this company related transactions as well as you want to do the budgeting for this company. So what is the summary? The additional attribute, or as per EBS, we may just name it as additional segment qualifier is summary. What is the meaning of summary? The summary is nothing but you want to make this value as a parent value or child value, normal value. So if you want to make it as a parent value, set to yes. So this value won't be available to create the transactions if you mark it as a parent. So by default, system is selecting no only. You can accept. The reason, we want to create the transactions with this company. So remember, summary, if you set to yes, that system will treat as a parent value. That value cannot be used to record any transactions. Okay, that's all. Then say save and close. Okay, it's taking time. Fine, done. We created one value. So if you look at release 12, I'm just taking you to release 12 instance. So there is no big difference, just the framework display they changed. I want to show you that. So here, if you want to create the chart of account related segment values, same task value set, chart of account value set values, or you can use chart of account value set, any task you can use. So anything you can choose. Say you want to create one segment value for, okay, for any one of the value set. So manage chart of account value set values. So find your value set here, whatever we are using for other batch, previous batch. I'm selecting it, Cloud INC. company we have. Okay, so click on manage values. Click on create. Here the framework, just the display they changed, that's it. There is no difference which you can address. So in release, this is release 12 instance. In 12, if you want to create any company value, this is how you can create 1000 cloud company. And here you can see the title as a value attributes. You can provide these attributes. By default summary is no, because this is not going to be parent value. And allow posting, allow budgeting, yes. From release 13, they change the view like this. If you are creating any value, sorry, it's value set. As a row representation, they are giving. Here you can enter value description and the summary, allow posting, allow budgeting. And you don't see as these are value attributes. The display, they're not keeping some title for these three. Here that is there. You can see value attributes. Definition remains same. That the framework, the presentation is different. That's all. So that's all you can create, and we'll create one more company. Say 2000. Okay. Google
I have a question.
Drive services. Yep.
So for when you say summary move, right? When there and in which scenario there will be yes? Why? Because you're saying when it is yes, it doesn't. It won't be in a transaction. So in which instance it will be yes? And second question is when you say posting for the posting is yes, right? Is it posting to the ledger? And
Yes,
third
yes.
question is when you see budget posting, so is a segment or what is a budget over there?
Budget is separate definition. When you define the budget, you have to define the budget for specific company, department, account, what are the segments you have. So budget you want to define for that company or not, you can decide here itself. If you said budgeting is no here, this value you cannot use for budget definition. For this company, you cannot define the budget. As you ask the question like allow posting means, so you can create the transaction, but those cannot be posted. Posting means updating the balances. So summary means it's all about parent. Basically, there we have certain scenarios, allocations, and some summary accounts. In those scenarios, we'll be using that summary to yes, so that cannot be used. That is just for the specific scenarios, and maybe for reporting purpose you can use. The real values which you have, you never mark it as a summary. Okay, for reporting purpose, you want to manage the scenarios, you can create the additional values, those you can mark it as a summary. Or else you take the example, you have a accounts, so you will be creating one account called as all assets, or current assets, or fixed assets, or all liabilities, all revenue, total revenue. So this is how we'll create for reporting purpose. Those will be marking as a summary to yes. That's how you can manage. But those are quite common in EBS which you come across. Since you are saying you are from PeopleSoft, that this may be new for you. Okay, fine. Those are the points you have to understand.
One more question. One more question. But for the budgeting, when you say yes, I'm not following. Is the application is interlinked with EPM? I mean, sorry, planning and budgeting, something like that, or uh, why there is a budgeting over there? I mean, for me, budget is just a chart of
I
accounting.
got your point. Planning and budgeting is from Hyperion. Hyperion planning and budgeting we are talking about. So if client want to take the subscription, they can take planning and budgeting along with the Fusion financials. Otherwise, we have a budgeting concept as a part of GL. Budgeting in GL. Okay. So same as EBS, in GL we have a budget concept. In the same way in Fusion GL also we have a budgeting. So if you have a very sophisticated budget requirements and all, normally the client may go with this kind of planning and budgeting, separate subscription which they have to take the subscription from Oracle. Then by using this planning budgeting, they can make the budgeting. That data they can bring into Oracle GL, which will have a budgetary control throughout the applications, the primarily the P2P cycle. Okay. So budgeting means GL budget. This is separate additional subscription where client has to take. If you see 10 clients who are using the Fusion applications, out of 10 you may see one client or you may not see as one client or any one of the client is using planning budgeting. They may be okay with the GL budget which you have as a part of Fusion General Ledger application.
Can't we create segment called budgeting and use it? I mean, why there is a special?
You can create but not required. You will be creating the budget as a separate definition. That is the reason not required.
I'm not understanding why they give the budgeting. Yes,
because
no.
See, one simple point, the solution how we have in the PeopleSoft product solution, how we have in the Fusion, it's maybe few things may be slightly same and many things are different, the naming convention and all. Okay, so but within these sessions you cannot understand those points. Okay, if you have any that relevant this related questions, we can discuss in the end of the session, because this may not be right time to bring all those points for discussion to correlate and understand. Okay, we'll see that. Fine. So we created two company values within that. Okay, so we'll go and verify once again. So click on manage values and you can click on search. Within this Google company value set, how many companies we created, you can see. Okay, 1000 and 2000. Done. The same way we'll go and create the values for department segment. So here Google department. Just click on search. Okay, so Google department. Just click on manage values. We'll go and create the few department values here. Click on create. For department also, maximum length we given as a 4. You can create departments also 1000, 2000. Say finance department. So these is, you can accept these value attributes as these, say save and close. Or you can click on create. Here only you can create, you will be able to create the values, additional line. So say 2000. We can go with any number, just for our understanding we are giving like this. Okay, and click on add. You can create one more value. So marketing. Now you can say save and close. Enough, these 3 departments are enough for our testing purpose. And you can go and create the values for account. Google account. So at the time of primary ledger creation, we know one account is mandatory, that is retained earnings account, right? So we'll go and create that retained earnings account as of now. Later we'll create other accounts. Click on create. So now along with the summary, allow budgeting, allow posting, we have other value attributes called as account type, third party control, reconcile, financial category. These are the additional value attributes you could see, because these all are coming because we assign natural account segment label to the company account segment. To that same account segment, this value set is associated. So what is the financial category and all, we'll understand. These are same as EBS. The financial category will understand when we work in payables and receivables. Basically that will be used for payables to GL reconciliation and AR to GL reconciliation purpose we can use. We'll see that at the time of reconciliation concept. For now, just we'll go and provide the values. I'll say 1111 account is retained earnings. And nature of account retained earnings is ownership account, owns equity, select. Then rest of defaults you can accept as is, then say save and close. So this is how just you can create the segment values. And we discussed one point, we should create segment values after deploying accounting flex field. So once you create the value set, and if you try to create values for that, you don't find the value attributes. You don't find any value attributes. For our understanding, I'll take you through that. So not this. Okay, so here we have a value set. We'll just create one value set for our testing purpose. Test value set. General ledger. So validation type independent. If you want to make dependency, as somebody asked a question, so you can set the filtration for company 1000 only department 1 and 2. Here you can make it as dependent other segment, so that other segment will depend on independent segment. And say character, and say length is 4. Yeah, there was some question from someone, I think Suresh, I think you were talking about separator segments, some separator. What is that?
Well, I think it was in the context of delimiter versus that separator. The delimiter was within the code combination, the dots.
No, when we were working on that, you asked the question, if this is a delimiter, then what about separator in the value set? That's what you asked. Fine, we'll see. Just click it. If you find that,
okay.
we'll discuss. Okay. Fine.
Okay.
Yeah. So we created a value set. Now I want to enter the values for this value set. Value set name is test value set. Search. Go to manage values. Click on create. You can give the value name. Okay, it may be company. In that case, company, you can give company name, some company name. You cannot set those value attributes. Allow budgeting, allow posting, and summary. You cannot set for this value set values. The reason, the value set is not used in any chart of account structure, and that is not deployed. Okay, that is a point we have to understand. Remember, in EBS you can create value set. Straight away you can enter the values and you can set the segment qualifiers. Here equal to segment qualifiers, we have a value attributes. That value attributes you cannot set for any value set related values until unless the value set is used in specific chart of account structure and that is deployed. So that is the reason after creating the value set, you cannot create the values. If you create, those will become incomplete, just name and code. You cannot set the attributes. Allow posting, allow budgeting, yes or no. If that is a segment called as natural account segment, you cannot set the account type, etc. System won't enable those functions since the value set is not used and deployed. Hope this is clear. Okay, so these are the points you have to understand. So we are ready with the chart of account structure. Even we entered few values into that. In tomorrow's session, we'll see how to create the primary ledger and what are the other sequential tasks which we have to perform in the sequence. We'll just go through it in tomorrow's session. We're done with the today's session. If you want to drop from the class, you can drop. And if you have any questions, you can stay back and we can discuss. Okay. Thank you all. Have a good day and good night. See you tomorrow. Any questions from anyone?
Hey, Lakshman.
Yep.
I have a
Yeah.
So, where do we define our ledgers?
We'll see that. See that we have to wait. Now, next step would be ledger only. Ledger we create in GL. Because see, one
Okay.
point, if you have this sort of questions, it may be difficult. The reason is, it
Okay.
is for the guys who have some knowledge or experience on EBS. That's what we announced in the very beginning of the classes. But since you are from PeopleSoft background, definitely these questions are very much valid. But it may be a bit difficult to discuss all these points. So you can ask the question, I can answer, but other participants won't be comfortable to attend this kind of discussions. So that's what I'm just thinking. So just definitely, you since you worked on PeopleSoft, we all will be correlating. You will be comparing. This is how we can do in PeopleSoft. The same how you can be done here. If we are trying to do something, why we are doing in this way, PeopleSoft we do in that way. So this you will be keep getting these kind of questions. Okay.
Now, my intention is
No. See, I'm
I
not saying
mean,
wrong. Your name is I could see as with.
yeah,
Yeah,
with
with see, I'm not saying just something wrong. I totally respect your questions, but I'm trying to explain the situation. Okay, I'm trying to explain the situation because these questions and answers may not be required for most of the other participants because all are from EBS background. Most of the guys. That's what we filtered in the first session only. We informed who are not from EBS background, who is not aware of this application, so it may not be right class for them. That's what I just informed. So just we'll discuss on this maybe after this session. I'll ask the team to give you a call. So we'll talk on that. Yeah.
okay.
Yeah, fine, thank you. So any other questions from other participants on today's session or previous classes, or if you have any issues with instance, please let us know. If you have any issues with instance, okay, if you're not able to have access to instance, or if you have some issues when you're practicing on instance, or if you have issue with the videos which we shared in the Google Drive, please write a mail on this erp3.com at the gmail.com.
Yeah, yeah, Lakshman, funny here. I think you have shared that folder again. Okay, but still I'm getting the same problem. I'm not able to download those videos.
Do
Like
one thing.
in
Do
the
one
for the
thing.
previous.
No. 1 second. Do one thing. Share
Uh-huh.
a different email ID. We'll try with that. It's working with everyone. It should work. But since it's not working in
No, no, no. It got downloaded. 25 videos got downloaded. The remaining 25 are not getting downloaded. It is saying the Google max size of scan exceeded. That's what something is it's saying.
maybe your drive doesn't. I mean, okay, you are downloading into means to your machine you are downloading, right? So
Yeah, yeah.
do one thing. You share other email ID which you have, or else I'll be sharing
Okay,
once again. I'll be sharing once again today. You try to download remaining.
okay,
We're talking about
okay.
previous batch videos, right?
Yes, yes.
Yeah, fine.
Yeah. Thanks.
Yeah, fine. Thank you. Fine, we'll connect tomorrow. Okay, we'll connect tomorrow and we'll continue from here. In tomorrow's session, we'll complete the primary ledger creation and legal entity, and just we'll set complete primary ledger definition, which will allow us to create the transactions. So that will target in the tomorrow session. Okay. So if you don't have any questions, we can wind up for today. We'll connect tomorrow same time and we'll just continue from here. Thank you all. Have a good day and good night.